Welcome back, benchwarmers. Fall is upon us, and that means the best time of year for sports, March being a close second.
Faith, family, football, America.
College football is back, baby.
And we're here to cover some stories from the first few weeks, as well as break down two huge matchups this weekend. I'm Brendan, nostalgic Pac-12 fan.
And I'm Corey, Tommy Swordholder, and this is Our View from the Bench.
Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see here, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Come on, smash it for us. It's free. It's free for you. It's free for us. Helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think.
Hell yeah.
College football, baby. Come on, camera. We're going here. I like NFL football more, right? But football is football. Bro, come here. Come on. Right here. I'm right here. Focus. Football is football. Are we not? You know, I'm saying? So we're in it. College football starts a week prior to the NFL, so we're already 3 weeks deep. I'm excited, man. SC's looking good. You excited for college football?
Heck yeah. I mean, I don't follow it to the like degree that we follow the NFL, obviously, because there's too many teams, there's too many players. I don't pay attention. I work a lot of Saturdays, to be honest, so I don't usually watch a lot of the games, but I try to get to the highlights. But when I do have the opportunity to sit down and watch this college football on a Saturday, it is really nice. I'm actually looking forward to doing it tomorrow.
Nice. Oh, you're off tomorrow to enjoy? Sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch one game tomorrow for sure, but we're here to cover a couple of things. Let's kind of start by just kind of covering a couple of the stories maybe that we've seen, things that we've heard, surprises, if any, from the first 3 weeks of the season as we're now in week 4. Corey, please start for me, please.
Well, I mean, you mentioned USC, so I might as well start there. I don't think anybody expected their defense to be as good as it is now. It's only 2 games, small sample size. But compared to what Lincoln Riley defenses have been before, because he always just hires his friend to do it and not a real defensive coordinator, apparently, like he did this time, they actually look pretty good. And I think they're going to have a good game in Michigan, but we'll get into that later. Yes. The other thing that is, I don't know if it's really shocking or surprising, but it's also kind of funny just because they were so crying last year, is Florida State being 0-3 after last year's whole we were undefeated, we should be in the top 4. They haven't won a game since they started bitching and complaining, including last year's bowl game and the start of this season.
And they got destroyed in the bowl game. Now, I know they sat a lot of people. A handful of people have been drafted, including one of their best defensive players who's now making an impact for the Rams, as we've seen in week 1. Not necessarily week 2. Kyler decided to tear him up. But in week 1, we saw him do pretty well. So they have lots of people, but that's a really good one, actually. Yeah, Florida State starting 0-3. We're going to be talking about Florida State in a second as well coming up, because they've done some things that is starting to be this a norm, it seems, in football. But bear with us. One of the things, before you continue, one of the things that I think has been crazy is when I look right now, I guess crazy wouldn't necessarily be the first thing, nor is it really a surprise. But it just really goes to show the bias that comes with it. And it kind of is an example or a real life thing as to why teams are moving. The entire top 11, I'll even include 11 because SC's at 11, is either in the SEC or the Big Ten. There's one ACC team in it, and that's Miami. And that's it. It's either SEC or Big Ten. And now we know Texas and Oklahoma, they're like, bro, get me out of the Big 12. Nobody cares. Boom, SEC. Pac-12 teams, the top 4, SC, Oregon, UCLA, and Washington. They said, nobody cares about the Pac-12. Get us out of here. And now where they're at, Oregon is, I think, 9, SC, 11. It's all panning out. Texas is number 1. Like, it doesn't, it's funny and weird, and I don't know how to feel about it, but this is what's happening now. When are they going to go to just like who cares anymore? Just all the teams should play.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer it takes. Maybe a couple more years, but either we go to like just 2 big conferences, East and West, or we just say screw it and let everybody be in football at least. The rest of the this is what I think the Pac-12 should have done prior, or the teams that left the Pac-12. They should have stayed as the Pac-12 for the non-football and even non-basketball if you wanted to, and let them all be independent in a sense, like Notre Dame is. Notre Dame is independent in football. They can schedule their season however they want every year, but the other sports, I believe they're in the ACC. Like, okay, that's fine. Why doesn't everybody else just do the same thing with football? Because with football, it's 1 game a week. It's not, there's not travel. The travel's not as extensive as it could be, or it's probably road
Or as
trips you would have to do
frequent.
for other sports, or as frequent for exactly. So like, I don't know. It's just a mess, to be honest. That's like the
Yeah.
biggest problem.
But now I mean, visually seeing why these teams are moving. I mean, I understood it before, right? But first year of all these teams being in the new places, and this is exactly what we see, is it's just super top heavy in the SEC and the Big Ten, which I get. I mean, there is really good football in the SEC and the Big Ten, and when they play other conferences, most of the time they beat them. So I get the principle of it, but I just feel like, I mean, we've talked about it, the Big Ten's not even the Big Ten; it's the Big 16 or the Big
Yeah, I
18.
mean,
Who knows even there?
yeah,
It's
whatever.
just
It doesn't even matter.
I don't even know why they call it Big 10 anymore. So, I mean, even Pac-12 changed their name from Pac-10. Why don't we call it
Yeah,
the Big 16 or something? Jeez. Anyways, so that's one of the other things that I've kind of noticed. Again, it's happens a lot, but one of the other things I've noticed. Anything else catching your eye lately?
the last thing with me is just Colorado. The whole
Okay, good. I'm glad
Dion
you brought it up.
experiment has kind of just gone off the rails. It seems they got off to a great start last year, 3-0, I think, or whatever, and then they lost like 6 of their
A
last 8.
lot.
Like they're not very good. They're not very disciplined. They have some good players like Shiloh. There is the one that is the cornerback that broke his arm. I think right. He's out.
Yes. Yep.
He's okay. Shador he's good. I don't know if
I
he's
think he's
like
a good
Heisman.
college quarterback.
Yes, that's a better way to
He has
probably describe
crazy
it.
numbers. I don't know how he does it because I
Yeah,
watch it. I'm just like, oh.
yeah, but he's not like earth shattering. Like, oh my god, I could
Hmm.
see him, like you said, playing in the next level. I mean, Hunter's the only one that I think can, but he's
That
gonna have to pick which position to play even when he gets there. You can't do Otani in football. That's just not gonna happen.
maybe at least not to his
Dude,
level because there's a
he's
guy I
so
forgot what team
small.
is it the Rams or the Chargers? There's somebody who plays fullback, defensive tackle, and is on special teams in the NFL right now. Some
Okay, but
some ginger
is
guy.
is, he, is the guy in like 90% of the plays like
He
Hunter
played
is?
he played in the last weekend he played like 30 offensive snaps, 40 defensive snaps, and like 15 special team snaps or something like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was like, I've never heard because to your point, once you get to the level, you have to be perfect at least one thing, right? To stay on the
Yes,
roster. Now, again, I've
absolutely.
never heard of the guy who I'm talking about. I still can't recall his name. So it's not like he's great. He's not putting up Nick Bosa numbers at defensive tackle. He's not putting up what did I say? He's a fullback, so it's not like he's gotten 8
Yeah,
touchdowns rushing or a bunch of yardage. I'm just saying he is useful. I think Travis Hunter would be more difficult, but I think it's probable. That guy is the best. I'd be surprised unless it's a quarterback hungry team if he doesn't go first overall, bro. He's so versatile. You could literally plug him in whatever you need.
yeah. I mean, he's a much better version because he's so good at the two sides of like Jabril Peppers when he came out. Not that he
Yes.
played both sides, but he played so many positions on defense and was so good at everything for Michigan at the
I
time
was gonna say at
that
Michigan, right? Yeah.
yeah, like once he got to the NFL, I was like, oh well, I guess what he's gonna do. He's still in the NFL and he's still a serviceable player and he's good, but he's not
He's
like,
average.
oh my god, like breaking records or numbers and stuff
Right.
like he. It's not like he was doing in Michigan. So
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I just think he has a chance before I write him off. I think Travis Hunter, that guy's amazing. He could block he could defend your best receiver and then go run crazy routes and catch game-winning touchdowns too. It's very
hey,
impressive. I think he's my favorite player on that team for sure.
we never thought we'd see a baseball player like Otani do what he's doing. So I guess
And here
anything's
we are.
possible.
Yep, very true. Very true. So that's kind of a little bit. I mean, there's plenty that's going on, and depending on what your favorite team, I'm sure there's more. But we just kind of wanted to cover a couple of the big things that we've noticed. And I want to now move on to one of the games from this weekend. The first one we want to talk about, again, we're going to talk about two, is Tennessee visiting Oklahoma.
Yeah.
SEC football, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is officially SEC football. I think this is Oklahoma's first official game in the SEC, and they get to host Tennessee. So that's kind of a big deal. This is going to be a big step for Oklahoma to see if they can hang because Tennessee is no joke. I mean, they've scored 50 points or more in all 3 games. Not that they've played anybody necessarily to Oklahoma's caliber, but Oklahoma doesn't play a lot of defense either. So it could be one of those 55-47 overtime games between these two, but it's a real big first test for Oklahoma to be welcomed into the SEC.
I normally root Boomer Sooner, right? All day long, but mostly when they're playing their rival. All over Texas. Horns down, all day, any day. But I just kind of want to see a good game. I don't know who I'm really rooting for. I know, kind of a lame answer, but the SEC gets the bias. So I kind of want to see them lose just so that way USC can move up in the Big Ten in the rankings. Have the
You
SEC beat each other up.
read my
Hoping for a
mind.
good
That's
game. If I had to pick, I'm assuming Tennessee might take this one. The only thing that is the hype at Oklahoma. Getting a huge SEC school coming in town. The freaking stadium's going to be super lit. Do you know, is College Game Day here that day? Is that where College Game Day is going? Do you know?
Honestly, I have no idea where they are, but I wouldn't be shocked if they are here for this one. That would be a good spot to be.
Yeah.
Norman, Oklahoma would be popping for sure tomorrow. And
Yep, that's exactly where they're at. Tennessee at Oklahoma. That's where College Game Day is going to be. So it's already going to be a crazy electric atmosphere for sure. Should be a good game.
Yeah, and like I said, it should be. I would think high scoring. Both teams are pretty good on offense. It's just a matter of which defense I think doesn't get murdered. But I feel like Tennessee, they've scored just so many points. They scored 70 in one game already. They're just
used to SEC play.
Yeah, I know exactly. So that's what I'm thinking. Oklahoma's the first game in. They're not going to be quite ready for the big boys, as they say, of the SEC. So maybe Tennessee kind of takes advantage of that and goes into Norman and walks out with a dub.
Tennessee by how much?
I think it'll be close. I don't think they'll win big or anything. Maybe like 9, be like a couple field goals. But nothing, I don't think it's going to. I mean, they're in Oklahoma. It's their first game. Like you said, they're going to be packed and crowded and excited and everything. I just feel like Tennessee's going to go in there and just sneak out with a dub.
All right. I think they're gonna win too. I'm taking Tennessee. I'm taking it by like 10 or less points. I was trying to look to see if they had the spread here, but I don't see it anywhere. I don't know why it's not coming up. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Rooting though. Where's the damn spread? Oh, here we go. +7 or -7 for Tennessee. So it's a touchdown favorite on the road, and that's kind of what I think. I think I see them winning by 7 to 10. So.
Okay, all right.
That game is on ABC at night. Well, afternoon, 4:30 our time Pacific. So check it out. All right, moving on. Another story that we kind of want to dive deeper into, besides just like random headlines, is something that's been kind of going on a lot lately. It's been coined a couple phrases. One of them is the bye week, as in BUY. But there's a lot of schools that pay, and this has been going on for some time. This is not new, the idea of it, but what's been going on lately hasn't necessarily been going on for some time. And we have 4 examples here. There's more of schools that have paid large sums of money to smaller schools to come play them, only to lose. The biggest one so far this year that people are clowning on the most is when Northern Illinois was paid to go play at Notre Dame. $1.4 million from Notre Dame to the to Northern Illinois University. And they played at home at Notre Dame, lost 16-14 on a last second. I think Notre Dame tried to kick a last second field goal and lost.
Yeah, they missed it. Yeah.
So it was a crazy upset, but it's just one of 3 more. We'll continue in a moment. I just want to give you a moment to kind of chime in.
Yeah, well, you mentioned their bye week games, but the other term that people have called them is guaranteed games. So, or like you said, you pay the school to come in, and we're going to guarantee ourselves we'll beat the crap out of you. We'll get, it's usually the smaller schools going to the big one, usually in the week 1 through 3 or week 9, like 8 through 15 at the back, or 12, I guess, in college at the back end, where you're just trying to get a little extra, easy win and get the team on a good vibe going into the start of the year or going into the back end before you get to your conference tournament or conference game.
Any possible bowl games,
Yeah, impossible bowl games, all that stuff. So I get it, but it is kind of funny to see some of these schools paying so much money and then end up losing. Like it's one thing to pay them a lot of money, because 1.4 for Northern Illinois, that's probably like more than half their budget that they have for the sports in general, or some crazy number like that.
But to go in there,
but to go in there and upset Notre Dame in Notre Dame, and it's on national TV because every Notre Dame game is. That's a huge thing for the program and for that school. That's just going to boost attendance and boost like the eyes on it. So I don't know. It sucks for Notre Dame, but good for Northern Illinois.
Yes, for sure. I think it's like the first they had a stat on it. I don't remember what at the time, but they interviewed the coach afterwards. He was just so happy. He was like moved to tears, obviously. But I think it's like the first time Northern Illinois has beaten a top 25 opponent on the road, like ever.
I can imagine it. Probably is.
Yeah. So props to them, man. The team went on the back end. That's the one thing the coach was saying in the interview is, we get that they might be better, they might be ranked, they might be, they paid us to come here, but leave it on the field. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
they left it there. A couple of the other ones that we saw, Memphis, the University of Memphis, the Tigers. They want to go Florida State, as you mentioned earlier. Florida State's looking for some easy dubs, especially to kind of add to their ACC resume. But they're 0-3 because they paid Memphis $1.3 million to play at Florida State and lost 20-12.
Man, and they're not none of these first two, at least nobody's murdering anybody. Like they're close games. They're just they're closing it out on the road at these big houses. Like
good for them. Moving on, UNLV, the Running Rebels. A little bit less, actually. The first one that I've seen under $1 million. UNLV was paid $700K to go play at Kansas. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Well, they rock chalked the shit on them Jayhawks, and UNLV won 23-20. What is going on? They're paying to lose? Hey, give us $1 million. We'll come beat the crap out of you. Okay.
But then I'm going to come in your house and shock the world.
Pretty much. And that's what Toledo did. This is the biggest one that we've seen so far this year. Toledo was paid $1.2 million to go play at Mississippi State. Mississippi State lost 41-17 at home. So not only did they get their ass beat by like 30 points almost, they paid them $1.2 million to do so. That's rough, bro. That's rough.
Dude,
and we're starting to see this a lot with these schools.
Wow, putting up 41 points on the road against a bigger opponent like that is one thing, but to go in there and win and not allow them to score 20?
Yeah.
Dude, Toledo, way to go.
Yeah, exactly. So good for them. A lot of schools are making this a habit. Now, of course, there's still plenty. Texas, I think, paid somebody. They won 71-0. There's plenty of teams that this doesn't happen to. But I like seeing the underdog win sometimes, depending on obviously who they're playing. So I'm happy to see how these schools come in, not only take the cash, but take the dub.
Absolutely. It'll come back as a story years from now. Because remember, I don't know how many years ago this happened, but I know it happened. Appalachian State goes into Michigan. Yeah, in the big house. They go in there and they win. I just remember the guys in the run off the sideline and just screaming and yelling. Like I don't remember what year that was, but it was definitely in the last 15 to 20 years, and I will never forget that upset.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, so when you get them, ooh, do you get them? And like you said, it's a great story for the players of those teams or fans or whatever to tell for years to come.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think we have. Actually, there's another story coming in. Let's break to this news here. Hi, yes, Brendan, thank you so much. This is Brendan checking in here. We are back with another update for the Blueprint. Nando, Corey, welcome.
Hello.
Back, Nando. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. And not only is it a beautiful day, but we actually did some pretty good cleanup this week on the waiver wire. Last week, we got some players we wanted, but not the main players we wanted. This week was different. We're going to throw it up on the screen here. Nando, do you want to run us through, because you did a pretty good job of who and why last time. You want to run us through who we got and maybe some of the reasons why we picked them up?
Alrighty, I mean, I'm pretty sure we addressed a few of these prior, with being the Carson Steele for the Jackson. We have the Tyler Lockett for Jackson Smith, Roma Dunze for Philly defense, but we recently added Jordan Addison for Ladd McConkey because we were wondering if he's going to go on the IR or not. And he did go on the IR, which allowed us to pick up Zach Charbonnet, who hasn't been picked up at all and might score us some more points with Miami's defense this week.
Nice. Yes. Great wrap up. Real quick, only small correction, which is lucky for us. Jordan Addison has been ruled out this week. Luckily, not IR. Technically, in the IR, that means you have to be out for 4 straight weeks minimum. And luckily, that's not the case. But he is out, which lets us put him in the IR spot. So, small clarification. But either way, everything you said was correct. So, yes, those are the two that I'm kind of most happy for. Again, getting Carson Steele. That one was a big one. We were hoping for that one. Just getting anybody from Kansas City running game. Smith and Jigba, a little switch for Lockett. I just think that the volume is going to be a little bit better. And getting a Dunze back, I just have a feeling he's going to kind of start something this year. He hasn't done it yet. Corey, though, you had Addison last year. You also picked him for Rookie of the Year. This is a pretty good pickup even for dropping Ladd, even if we have to sit him for a couple weeks, and then add to it the Charbonnet.
Yeah, huge. I think the Addison thing, when we talked about it earlier in the week about him, Addison even being there, we were kind of confused, but then we noticed he didn't play last week. But it's not a huge injury that's going to keep him out for weeks. It sounds like it's kind of a week-to-week thing. So by taking him and putting him on an IR spot and opening up another roster spot to then grab Charbonnet, who like we all three were just like, why is he there and no one has taken him? He's got more than 10 points each week. It makes no sense. So picking him up for basically nothing and having Addison stashed away with now Nick Chubb, we have two kind of back burners. Hopefully that'll come back to help us in the back end of the season. So I think it's a good move. I think overall I feel much better about the waiver wire this week than I did last week. So
yeah, agreed. Definitely. All right, so because we were able to pick up Zach Charbonnet, let's now show what we're running with this week. This is the starting week 3 matchup. I'm pretty confident we're plugging in Charbonnet right away. He's going to be the starting back in Seattle. He got 14 points last week. Miami has given up, I think, 14 points to Etienne week 1 and 28 and 3 touchdowns to James Cook last week, which we actually benefited from. So hopefully Miami keeps giving to us this week. But this is the matchup. I know that Nando might be kind of toying around with a couple changes. Who are the ones that you're kind of on the fence about, Nando?
Well, we're still on the fence with Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Just because if we play someone from Baltimore, we have Lamar Jackson as our opponent. And if they do really good, it could benefit us in giving some points to the tight end. If they do really bad, it's still like it's going to benefit just saying we already have Joe Burrow that might pull through this week. And if he pulls through like he did last week, then we're going to look at some good numbers and a pretty neck-and-neck game here.
Yeah. I'm excited. So I know you're torn between what is Brock Bowers and Mark
Andrews.
Mark Andrews. Okay. And we were really torn between Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams, the talent is really good. But the matchups, like I would choose Kyren Williams over Jerome Ford normally. But the matchups having the Giants, who have the worst run defense in the league, I think, right now, and the Niners, who always play the Rams tough, and it's just with that beat up O line, I don't know. I'm not too sure about it. So those are the maybes that he might be switching up last second, but this is what we're running with as of right now. So
hey, dude, I think you're right too about the. We keep going and looking at the numbers, like everything tells us to play Kyren over, but it's just the matchup, like you said, against the Niners and that offensive line for the Rams. Like,
right,
the Niners are going to be pissed off after losing last week. I know the Rams got murdered by your Cardinals last week, so they're not going to be happy. But they're also going to Frisco, where they don't normally win or play very well. Their line is just decimated. So, like, Kyron's going to get a lot of run probably because there's no one else to throw to for Stafford. But that doesn't mean Bosa and Warner and them aren't going to have a huge day and just stuff him at the line and give him nothing to work with. So, I think in the long run, even though all the numbers say to play Kyron, hopefully we are not screwed up by that.
Yeah. Agree. Cool. Well, this is what we're running with. Make sure that you check in on the next episode. We'll have, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. I know we've planned it out already, but make sure you check in for the next episode so you can see how week 3 went. Are you confident with a dub, Nando? How are you feeling? Give me a percentage.
I'm feeling pretty confident. I think that my 60 to 40 odds here might play pretty well.
Okay.
I'm hoping Lamar Jackson doesn't do too great because then it's going to waver. That's going to make me want to change out Mark Andrews more. But I feel like even though one good week wouldn't change that.
Right.
I think I'm gonna learn from this week for sure.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes that's what fantasy is about too. You know, you take a risk, see if it pays off, see who's actually going to be well, and you'll start to build that pattern. You'll start seeing that Bowers is targeted 10 times every week, and Mark Andrews is sometimes he scores 2 touchdowns, sometimes he doesn't get a catch, and you'll start seeing some of those patterns and trusting people a lot more than others. Kind of sounds like you already are. So that's good. Good job. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much wraps it up. We'll come back to you, like we said, for week 3's matchup. Make sure you check that out. Brendan, Corey, back to you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much for the update. All right, back to it. Let's wrap this one up with the big game, in my opinion. The Big Ten battle. So far, biggest one, at least of this year, for one of the newcomers, USC, as we mentioned in the beginning, visiting the Big House this weekend at Michigan. Now, it's not the same Michigan of last year because they'd probably be favorited by a lot. With J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, everybody running that offense, Jim Harbaugh as the head coach, a stacked defense. Not the same Michigan. Obviously lost last week against Texas at home. But fight on, man. I'm rooting for him. What do you see with this game?
I don't know, man. I just for some reason I get this weird vibe. SC's gonna go in there and win, right? Like you mentioned it.
Yes.
Michigan is not the same team. They've lost Harbaugh. They lost a bunch of guys to the draft. It's just not the same. And it's a rebuild is where they're at. The coach is a new guy who's never had been a head coach before. So they're just completely rebuilding and starting over, which is what we're seeing. I mean, they barely beat Fresno State in the first 2 weeks, and you thought, oh well, that's again one of those small schools you pay to come out and you're gonna beat the shit out of them and like feel good about yourself. And
Yeah.
they didn't feel good about themselves after that, and they haven't felt good about themselves since apparently after losing to Texas last week.
Yeah.
So I
Texas
don't know.
is a good team, but
they're number one overall, I believe. So I'm not arguing that you shouldn't have, but you shouldn't have gotten beat that bad. Like it was,
true.
It was bad.
Yeah,
I mean, people are talking about it and that in a way that should tell you we really got to get our shit together. But
yeah,
SC's coming off of the bye week. They beat LSU. They beat the crap out of Utah State at home, which they should have done. 48-0. Like they didn't even allow them a point. That's what I'm saying. This team for SC that now they're in the Big Ten, it just feels a little different. I don't know. This is the first Big Ten matchup against Michigan. They get to go to the Big House. Like, what are you thinking, man? Are you really saying fight on for real? Or are you
fight on,
torn
baby.
Because
fight on? No. I know I was rooting for Michigan last year, but honestly, I'm just kind of like a huge Harbaugh fan and a gigantic Ohio State hater. I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry. That's not Corey. Corey doesn't think that. Okay, he still likes.
I don't care.
So I'm just a big hater, and so when you have the opportunity for Michigan to have a top 4 seed or because it's very few. I know it's expanding. Is it this year? It's expanding, right? So it's you don't have to be in the top 4 necessarily anymore. But back in the day, you had to be top 2. But now you have to be top 4 at least. So I just was needing Michigan to be there so that way Ohio State couldn't. But Harbaugh's gone. And I'm all off. So Pac-12 fan at heart. I'm always rooting for SC in actuality. I root for most of the Pac-12, but if I had to pick a team, it would be Southern California. The Trojans do look good this year. Again, they had a huge win not at LSU, but against LSU. It was in Vegas. Actually, the biggest crowd in Allegiant Stadium history. Yes, bigger than the Super Bowl. So it was crazy. But SC pulled that one off. What?
I was gonna say, listen. Thinking back to that game, I remember my dad and I were driving back from San Francisco that day, so we listened to the whole game on the radio driving back because we had 6 hours ahead of us, and we started literally as the game started. Perfect. So it was just kind of weird because, like, I don't know the last time I've listened to an entire game on the radio like that because we usually watch everything.
True.
So it was kind of cool to actually listen to it and get a different aspect or
perspective to actually visualize it as opposed to watch it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It's just kind of cool. I should probably try to do that a little more often than just watching everything all the time.
True, but we're visual creatures. You know what I mean? So it's fulfilling.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're on YouTube for a reason, right?
That's right. And if you were listening on Spotify, we thank you. But if not, go check us out on YouTube. We make pretty things, and you can see our ugly faces. Come on. But anyway, let me wrap it up with this. Trojans have looked good again, beating LSU. I'm hoping that they can go into the Big House and do what Texas did last week and take this dub. Let's move up the rankings. Let's get into the top 10. And I know a win at Michigan would do so for sure. So excited for that one. Let's go Trojans.
All right. We're on the same page. Good. We're not doing I thought we were going to have to fight over this game.
No. Normally, I'm a Michigan fan in essence. My dad, my stepdad, actually, he had gone to one of his friends. This was, maybe like 10 years ago, maybe even more. One of his friends. I know, bro. We're old, man. One of his friends was getting married, and he went to the University of Michigan after they left high school. My stepdad went to high school in Corona, California. And as like a bachelor party, they were having a Michigan weekend. Okay. So nice. My stepdad goes, he gets field tickets. He's standing on the field. It was a game they were playing Notre Dame at the Big House. It went to the fourth quarter. There was a game-winning touchdown caught right in front. You could see my stepdad on TV. Standing there in the end zone cheering for the time. So I've been a Michigan fan since then, just because he had such a good time. I'm like, sure, whatever, go blue, But I'm not at heart, really. I'm a SoCal native SC fan. So no fighting here. No fighting.
All right. Sounds good. I like it.
Now that I've explained, why I root for certain teams, let us know in the comments below who your favorite college football team is and why. Is it your alma mater? Is it like a family school that, a lot of your family has gone to? Cal State Fullerton. When was the last time they lost a game?
I think the shirt I bought when I was there said undefeated since '92 because they haven't had a team since '92. Can't beat us.
Don't bring that part up. I'm just saying we haven't lost. Don't bring up the other part. Yeah. So is it your alma mater, a family school? Is it just like the closest one to you? Like kind of mine was. Nobody went to SC that I know, man. I didn't go there, couldn't afford it. But fight on still. We want to see who our viewers are rooting for. So let us know down in the comments below. Appreciate everybody stopping by, though. Thank you as always for seeing these from our view from the bench. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore 4th Studios production.